Welcome to the first ever episode of Bonaventure Sports Insider. I'm Allie Elkins.
And I'm Gannon Horning. And in today's episode, we'll talk about two sisters that made their way into Bonaventure soccer team. And we'll take a look at the men's rugby team.
But first, let's take a look at some scoring updates. Men's soccer lost to Rhode Island last Saturday 4-3. Umichi Akuzoku scored 2 goals, while Motal scored 1. The Bonnies are now 0-1-1 in A10 play. They'll face Davidson at home this weekend.
The women's team lost to Davidson yesterday 4-0. The Bonnies' record is now 1-9-2 with an 0-3-1 record in conference play. Bonaventure hopes to achieve their first A10 win against George Mason on Sunday at 1 p.m.
The men's rugby team defeated Penn State last Saturday 31-17. They'll stay home to face Walsh University this Saturday at noon.
The women's rugby team will play against Walsh before the men's team. Women's rugby has been on a tear, demolishing teams by 100 points.
Just last week, one St. Bonaventure men's soccer player made his Sports Center top 10 debut. We spoke with Andres Yavit, who tells us what it's like being in the national spotlight.
My time. Number 1, Robert Morris, St. Bonnie's. Ball in the box, the finish, Andres Yavit. The amazing fight.
The kick heard around the world. St. Bonaventure soccer player Andres Yavit's game-winning bicycle kick making its way to ESPN's Sports Center top 10.
Everyone was going crazy, even in my country, because they were seeing everything. And they were like, wow, you were on national TV, you were everywhere. And I was like, yeah, that's good, but I don't know, like for me, it was just another day in the soccer field.
He found out during a film session where he was supposed to be watching game film. But coach had an unexpected surprise for him.
Then we just see ESPN, and then we all sit, and then it starts going Sports Center top 10, top 9, 8, and then on 7, it's Real Madrid. So I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna appear here, because Real Madrid is number 7. And then when they say number 3, it hits. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. And everyone just started going crazy.
Despite all the attention and spotlight, Yavit is staying focused.
Yeah, it's big, it's big. It's a big moment. Like my goal, of course, like it's to accomplish everything with Bonas, but personally, I want to play pro, I want to play professional. So it's good steps towards that dream that I've had since I was a kid, so it's going well.
A milestone in Yavit's career, but just another step towards bigger goals. Allie Elkins, Bonaventure Sports Insider.
The men's soccer team will return home this Thursday against Davidson at 6 p.m.
Speaking of soccer, I had the opportunity to speak with 2 women's players who have soccer in their blood. Let's take a look at their story. For Maya Maroli, a decision to join the Bonnies soccer team was a no-brainer.
I knew that my sister was at UB, so I was like thinking that like the location was like perfect for like feeling like still at home kind of.
But she ended up being a little closer to her big sis than she thought.
I decided to transfer very late in like the little gap that I had to be able to transfer.
That's Maya's sister Mika, who spent her freshman year playing soccer at UB. After an offer from Coach George, Mika joined the Bonnies squad too, and more importantly, her sister.
I think she played a pretty big part. Like I think having a sibling at the same school as you is like super nice, you know? It's like having a little sense of home at like somewhere that is not home.
Since joining the team, these sisters have been there for each other for some pretty big moments. But Mika got a front row seat for one of her sister's biggest career milestones.
Maya's first goal, like that was like, first of all, it was like a banger. And then also, I don't know, it made me like really happy for her. I was really proud.
And one hug was worth 1,000 words.
Everyone came around me and like, you know, jumped on me, whatever. And then like she like stayed back and like hugged me, and it just felt like really good. In the moments that like, it's like a good moment for each other, we're always there for each other, and like, it was really great to have her.
Proving that great soccer runs in the family. Allie Elkins, Bonaventure Sports Insider. The women's soccer team faces off against George Mason at home this Sunday at 1 p.m.
Now let's talk about what rugby has in store.
The St. Bonaventure women's rugby team is 3-0 to start their first Division I 15 season, outscoring their opponents 318-0 in September. Junior Jillian Ray acknowledged what's at stake in tomorrow's matchup against Walsh University.
I think we've realized that both teams have something to prove. This is our first season in D1, and this is their first season away from Notre Dame. Most of the girls that played at Notre Dame have now gone to Walsh, and they were in the national tournament last year. So I think we both have something to prove going out. Our mentality going into it is just recognizing that it's going to be a hard game. This is going to be some of the toughest competition that we faced, but we need to remain calm, we need to remain poised under pressure, and just go out there and play our game.
The Bonnies plan to play their brand of rugby in their toughest battle yet. From Bonaventure Sports Insider, I'm Kyle Meyer.
The women's rugby team will face off against Walsh at 10 a.m.
Now looking at men's rugby, Bonaventure Sports Insider reporter Tyler White takes a look at what coaching changes mean for the men's rugby season.
This fall marks the first fall season for newly named head coach Daniel Neighbor, who took on the role last spring with Tui Osborne accepting a role on the coaching staff for the Miami Sharks. Coach Daniel Neighbor already has a relationship with the team, making these additions to the coaching staff as smooth as possible. Junior captain Reynard Boshoff credits this connection between Neighbor and the players for making this transition as successful as it has been.
I think the team adjusted quite well. We had a very high-paced pre-season that it forced the boys to really adapt to the new coaching staff. We have Coach Danny that has been here for quite a while, so boys are comfortable with him.
When asked what kind of mindset the coaching staff brings to the table this year, Boshoff said,
I'd say it's a winning mentality. We really focus on our game plan, and if we stick to our game plan, we know we'll win. And we back the coaches back us, and I think that just drives the whole mentality of the team.
On Saturday the 5th, the Bonnies play against longtime rivals Walsh University, formerly known as Notre Dame College. Boshoff has no doubt in his mind about the outcome of this week's game.
I back the coaches, I back our game plan, so we're just focused and we're ready to go.
The men's rugby team faces off against Walsh at home Saturday at noon.
Now let's take a look at the weekend ahead. Golf team travels to Binghamton for a Matthews Auto Intercollegiate on Sunday and Monday. Men's soccer hosts Davidson on Saturday at 6 p.m. in an Atlantic 10 showdown, while the women's host George Mason on Sunday afternoon. The swim and dive team hosts rival Niagara on Saturday in the Riley Center. Both men's and women's tennis visit Army for a weekend battle on the court. And finally, both rugby programs take on Walsh in an exciting day of high-class rugby.
Follow Bonaventure Sports Insider on social media for all Bonaventure Sports updates. We post regularly on Instagram, and all of our shows will be accessible on YouTube. Stay tuned for future content as we will continue to expand our media presence. Thanks for joining us for our first ever episode of Bonaventure Sports Insider. Make sure you stay tuned on all of our socials to keep up with everything Bonaventure Sports. I'm Allie Elkins.
And I'm Garen Horning. We'll see you next time on Bonaventure Sports Insider.